Hi everyone, this is Sherry from RestoreCreateRenovate.com, and I wanted to share a project with you that I did today. It's a Chalk Couture using the Farmer's Market transfer. And to start off with, when you have a new transfer, one of the things that you need to do is called defuzzing, which means that you put the transfer onto a towel to try to pick up some fuzz and just take away some of the tack, because if you don't, it can be really difficult to remove these, especially if you're using a chalkboard that's not a Chalk Couture chalkboard, which I will be using for this project. So I didn't want to take a chance of having a hard time pulling it off the chalkboard, so I actually went through this process twice. You lay it down, just put some pressure on it to pick the fuzz up, then you're going to peel it off the towel. And what you'll see is when I go to pull this off the first time, it's still pretty tacky. It's still pretty stuck onto the towel. So when I saw how much tack there still was on it, that's when I decided that I needed to do it a second time. But these transfers, you're not going to have to worry about your paste or your ink seeping into the areas you don't want it, because they are so sticky. But what you want to make sure doesn't happen is that you don't want to pull off part of your surface, and that's the reason for doing the defuzzing and taking down some of the tack. As you can see here, it came off much easier the second time. The other thing that you need to be aware of if you're not using a Chalk Couture surface, and you're going to see in just a second here the chalkboard that I used, it's really, really necessary to wax the surface. Because if you don't wax the surface, depending on what you're using, you may get part of the surface on your transfer, and if that happens, you can really ruin a transfer. I've seen several people do this, and I've really taken it to heart about waxing all my surfaces. Now this chalkboard, I didn't want to clean all the chalk off of it because I kind of wanted a smudgy look. This is an old chalkboard I found at a Goodwill store, actually, for like $4.99, I think it was. Pretty incredible price, I thought. Now the transfer itself is an 18 by 18 inch transfer, so it's a pretty good size transfer. And this is going to make a piece of wall art for my kitchen. I've got a big blank wall that I'm going to put this on. So once I got it positioned, I wanted it a little bit higher towards the top, but I'm measuring because I want to make sure that it's going to be level. Then I'm not going to start doing this and pull it off and then find out that it's not level and have to redo it. It's not a big deal to redo it though. You just wash I'm using paste, so you just wash the paste off and you let it dry, wax the surface again, and then start over. So here I'm using the Chalk Couture paste. It looks like it takes a lot, but what you'll see is that when I get all the negative space filled, then I go back with the squeegee and I take off the excess, and it goes back in the jar because I'm going to be reusing that again. So really, it looks like you're using a lot, but you're really not using very much at all by the time you scrape off all the excess. The one thing on doing a transfer like this, because I wanted to have two different colors, and I've seen people do this particular transfer with even 3 or 4 colors, but you just have to be careful because you're trying to move fast. You don't want to let this paste dry. You want to be able to pull the transfer off while the paste is still damp. So moving fast, you just kind of have to be cautious that you don't get a color in the wrong place. So here I am. This is an aqua paste, which I really like, and I thought it would show up pretty good against the blackboard. I had another one that was the Thai teal, and I kind of debated between the two, but I like the way this one turned out. So this aqua color worked pretty well for me. And when you see the finished project, I think you'll agree that the aqua color was the right one to go with. So here you're going to see as I start to scrape off the excess, and all the excess is going to go back in the jar. And then I'm going to recap the jar because you don't want to leave it open, it'll dry out. And here I am, I'm able to pull this off while the transfer is still, or while the paste is still damp, which is how you want to pull it off. And let it dry, and there you go. hung it up. It's taking up a wall in my kitchen now, and I really, really like it. Thanks for joining me today. All the descriptions for products below can be found below. Thanks for watching.